I've realized that in my logical explanation video, I ranted a lot. And I didn't speak with enough grace, I feel. So, I'll make a summarized, more complete and orderly video on this. Okay. So, can there not be a God? Well, there's many different arguments that appear for this, and that for there not being a God. And I'm gonna talk about each of the main ones. The idea of everything being created from nothing is directly not logically compatible, because nothing can't do anything. Okay, so can the universe be eternal? Well, time isn't just in the universe, it's part of the fabric of the universe. So as long as the universe has been a thing, time has been a thing. So, infinite cannot be reached. Infinite is the concept of ever increasing. So something that's eternal has no beginning and no end. So, contextually, but generally eternal. And the concept of how we're using it here, the context of how we're using it here, means no beginning, no end. It's eternal. First, we know the universe does have an end mathematically and scientifically. And we know it has a beginning mathematically and scientifically. It's theory, philosophy to try to say it doesn't. To say infinite time has been passed would be what you're saying. To say the universe doesn't have a beginning, because that means it goes infinitely back. To reach today, it has passed infinite time, which within the context of being time, within the context of the law of time, is not possible. If you were under that law, the laws of time, you cannot do that. The universe part of its fabric is time. So, just like space is height, width, length, those 3 dimensions, say depth as well. See, due to that being how space is, take one of those out, you no longer have space. So, the universe is made up of space, matter, and time. Time is part of the fabric of the universe, therefore it can't go infinitely back. It's not logically compatible or scientifically compatible to say time was created in the universe. As long as the universe existed, time has. Infinite time cannot be reached, let alone past. That's what it would take for us to reach today if the universe had no beginning. So it must have a beginning. Logic and science agrees with that. Everything that has a beginning has a cause. Now, can this cause be e-personal? This cause cannot be e-personal. Because for this cause to not be a personal thing, that means after a certain amount of time it was already destined to create, but it has no beginning. So in essence, the universe would also have have no beginning. Even though it was created by this cause, both of them would be eternal. See that? So, it still isn't compatible. It needs to be something personal that's able to say, I'm creating now. Because only personal things can decide. This bed I'm on, it can't decide to start doing stuff. Anything that happens to this bed happened because of some outside personal factor. Or a tornado or hurricane or something. You get what I'm saying though. This bed isn't just gonna magically lift itself up. A personal being has to lift it up. So, it must be personal. Now, what does that sound like? It's outside of matter, so it's immaterial. Outside of time, so it has no beginning, no end. It's eternal, and so that means it already sees infinite future. And it's personal, so it's thinking, right? Then also, it's outside space, so it's everywhere at once. Its presence is everywhere at once. So all present, all powerful, all knowing, and eternal, and personal. That's what the cause has to be. Does that make sense? Because it's outside of space, time, and matter. It created these 3 things. Out of choice, as I explained, because the universe can't be eternal. So it must be those things. It's not just random claims. Hope y'all following with me. My atheist and agnostic people. And any other religion, really. So that's the case. So that's God. God has now been proven. Get that out the way. But now we have to say, why does it have to be the Christian God? It has to be the Christian God because God gave us a natural ability to know what's right and wrong. Even as a child, when you hit that kid, you feel guilt. Even if you never have someone around you teaching you it's okay, you still feel guilt for it. Even if all you see is hitting and fighting, and you hit people, you find it fun, there's still underlying guilt in it. We all know this. We have a conscience. Now, we can try to logically break it down where if there is no God, but now we know there is. And this God created everything. So, with this God creating everything, and giving us a conscience, that's something I can't sit here and be like, oh, well, this, and this. That's something we just know from everyone's experience. You have a conscience. Even psychopaths and sociopaths. They're not born with a great ability and emotion. But there's still some level of want. You know? They don't just kill themselves instantly. They don't just wake up in the morning and say, time to kill myself. No, there's still something they desire, they want. So, then also, knowing that now, we have conscience, that's just something we clearly see. You're trying to logic it out, no, well, we don't. We know there's a God. We know from our experiences his conscience. It would make sense that God created us with his conscience because he agrees with what the conscience says. Okay. That's basically a law. Right and wrong. We know right from wrong. When we do good, we feel good from it. When we do bad, we feel bad from it. So, that sounds like a law. Right? Like the government. This is right, this is wrong. Except for this one's from God. So it's a holy law. Why do we say holy? Because if God has created what's good and evil, what's objectively good and evil, like the government has objectively said murder is wrong. God has said the same thing. Objectively, murder is wrong. So that's a law. That's from the conscience that God gave us, that everyone just knows, okay, this is what society's got to be built on. You can't just have people murdering everybody. You know? Lying, it's not good to lie in a court. You can get in trouble for that. So, and just lying in general is said to be a bad thing. This is naturally in society. So, that's okay. Now, you see this. God has made a law. So if God agrees with this, God is eternal, all-powerful, all-knowing, all-present, personal. So he is good. He's perfect. He's perfect. And a lawgiver upholds their law, or it's no longer a law. It doesn't matter about it being a law. So a lawgiver upholds their law, a good lawgiver. So to uphold the law, there must be a punishment and a reward for following it. If you perfectly follow God's law, there you go. If you perfectly follow his law, he's not going to punish you. But if you haven't perfectly followed his law, you're going to get a punishment. And we know, just like in a court of law, one crime is enough to get a punishment. Doesn't matter how much good you've done. One crime. You could have done a bunch of great stuff in your life. Just be such a good person, in a worldly sense, good person, by the world standards. But you commit one crime, we're not going to get a punishment. Okay, same with God. If he is good, he must be a just judge. A just judge punishes for one crime. Now, God being perfect, God being holy, one crime, one sin is enough to get a punishment. God is outside of time. Time is not isn't part of his judgment because he's outside of time. You're sinning, you're doing crimes against a eternal law. A law that's always been there. A God that's always been there. So the punishment will be eternal because time isn't applied to it. Now, the degree of punishment will vary, just like in the court of law. The Bible says that the degree of punishment varies, but the amount of time doesn't. For example, if I say I'm going to put you in fire for the rest of your life, but another time I say I'm going to have you in lava for the rest of your life. Let's say you will live the rest of your life in those situations. Well, the lava one's worse, a higher temperature, but they're both the rest of your life. So God has the eternal punishment, but it varies in degrees depending on how bad the person is. But everyone's went against it. How we know this? Everyone's lied. Everyone has told a lie. And if they haven't, I mean, they're probably like a few months old baby that doesn't even know how to talk. So, everyone's told a lie. Okay, so, is lying wrong by our conscience? Yes. So it is a crime against God. So that already means everyone that's lied, which is everybody, deserves a just punishment. An eternal punishment. Okay, so that's scary. Well, that's just. So what can we do? We can't do anything. Because you can't go to the judge, you murdered somebody. But you go to the judge and say, well, during this time, before I was sent off to actually be done for, I saved like 10 lives as a firefighter. And the judge isn't going to say, oh, well, I'll let you off the hook because you saved lives. No, you still murdered someone. You're getting the punishment. And you're serving the time. It's not going to get cut short because you saved some lives as a firefighter. You still murdered someone. You're getting that full time. It does not get shorter. You've run the red light, but after that, you ran 20 green lights. You still ran that red light. You're getting a ticket for that red light. Same amount. It's not getting shorter. So, there we go. We now have that out the way. So we all deserve hell. Just like with the ticket. That's a fine. The Bible says, Romans 6:23, for the wages of sin is death, spiritual death, eternal punishment, eternal death. Talking about hell. The wages of sin is death. Like a court. The wages of sin is death. So your wages, your ticket for what you've done, your just punishment, is hellfire. Or punishment, eternal punishment. So, what now? We need someone to pay that fine. We need somebody that's so loving to pay that. How would they do that? Well, it need to be, unlike that ticket situation where they just pay some money. This is talking about life and death. It has to be somebody willing to give up their life for you. That isn't a criminal. That's never told a lie. That's never sinned. Have to be a perfect person who's willing to take an eternal punishment for you. Jesus Christ is the only person for this. No one else. No one else claimed it. No one else did it. No one else has they call it religion. You know, Christianity is much more relationship, but by definition still considered a religion. So only one religion teaches this, Christianity. So we have to ask ourselves, is it worth it? Is eternal punishment worth me wanting to live my life for myself? It's not. Logically, it isn't. I want to live, maybe I'll live till 90. I want to live 90 years of pleasure and sin. It's just not logical. Because you have eternity, an infinite amount of time after. That's logically more important. So logically, you must accept Christ, as he's the only way out. You can't outdeed your bad deeds. You can't do enough good deeds to make up for a crime you did. Because that's really what we're saying. Sin is a crime against God. And crimes aren't just written off because you did good stuff. They stay the same throughout the entire process. It doesn't change. At least if the judge is just. It's a just judge that upholds justice. So think about that. Is it worth it? It's not worth it. So you must accept Christ if you're truly a logical thinker. God bless and much love.